he was going to die because of the decisions he made. But there was a spiritual redemption still there for him. And at the end of the day, he was still listed as a man of faith because he was willing to turn back to the power beyond himself.
All right, Jonathan, welcome back, man.
What up?
Missed you.
This is the first time we've all been together in like a month. I mean, even though last week you did promise that we were better off together.
I never said that.
No, not at all.
No, we were so much better without you.
Yeah, I know. People did tell me that.
It's okay.
No.
It's all right,
Why do
guys.
people have to be so honest?
Stop fighting about me. It's okay.
Yeah. No, you're the only one that's been so consistent because me and Jonathan have missed the most.
He
so.
went to Nigeria for like a month.
Yeah, but he
It was 2
still
weeks.
was like here in his presence.
round
Like
up.
nobody ever realizes that he was gone, but they'll know that when we're gone. But he still holds down the show. Like no, I'm saying that you still
Yeah.
hold down the show.
I know,
I
you can
kind
take
of
that
was like
either way.
it was double negative, but we've had some time off. He's had some time off, but everybody's like Michael's always there.
Where
I'm like,
was
no,
I
he's
last?
not.
Oh, I was in Cali.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. So that's
So
pretty good.
Your music's going good?
Yeah. So I was in California filming a music video for this song that we happen to have perfectly queued up. What a transition. No,
Is that what
so
y'all were waiting
That
for me
is
to
a
see?
transition.
Yeah. Well, okay. If any of our other
like,
previous transitions.
speaking
were,
of music, the
Yeah.
Astros. No, so this song I worked on recently. I was telling Alex before the show started, I want him to see if he can guess the Bible character that the song is based on. But we were out in California. We got some shots out in the desert. We lost a drone. We hiked for 3 hours to
Yeah, I
find
want to
it.
hear about the drone story.
It was a good time. But y'all want to hear that now, or y'all want to hear the song first?
What do you want to do?
no, definitely want to hear the song first.
All right, here we go, Alex.
Because once you put the challenge out, because I have, due to you guys, I've been trying to be a little bit more biblical, so we'll see.
All right, let's go. All right, you got it?
I like
I
how
mean,
we're
I
looking at
literally
the
was like,
screen as if there's
it's one of
anything.
those kind of shows you're like, ready, go, name it. Yeah. No,
Yeah, we
can't
don't have to
do it.
look at the screen. It's not going to do anything for us.
Oh man,
Staring into my eyes.
you don't have the video. Oh, the video's not being released yet.
It's not done yet.
Feeling blood drip down my chin, tripping in darkness, a shaven head in chains I send, crowds cheering on my flight days, no pleaded line, they'll kill me unwanted, can't feel
Am I allowed to use my phone?
my eyes.
Yep. Pay attention to this next line.
I'm burning in memory. You know I've killed 1,000 men. How come this victory? Behold, 'cause I've one thing left to accomplish. I
So first of all, thou cannot tell a lie. I was given a hint, but I did have to look it up. And yeah, that's pretty deep. You already know that I already know who it is.
So who is it?
I was given a hint, and I wanted to verify the hint. They gave me a hint. I'm not gonna lie. You stepped out, and they gave me a hint.
So who
Well,
is
one, because I think they figured would I have been able to figure out on my own. I think if I would have Googled some of the words that you were singing, I think I might have been able to figure it out. But they actually helped me. I didn't ask for the help. They gave me the help. Hey. Do you want to throw anybody under the bus? No, of course not. James and Michael.
You're just gonna lightly throw us on the ground.
Yeah,
So
lightly
it
throw on the ground.
was about.
So okay, so based on that one verse that you
Finish the
sang,
thought.
hey, let's transition. Hey, did you know the Rangers won the World Series? So, based on one of the verses I actually typed in, I'm gonna have to go with my guess is Samson.
You
To
got it.
verify. Okay, good. So they did give me a hint of it and a couple of the words. I wasn't going to believe them because I think they were going to try to embarrass me.
So what was the hint?
I typed it in.
You took notes.
I was definitely taking notes. It was what I typed in was wait, where is it? Captured. And then you said something about being enslaved, and then strength, and then God's granted his revenge. Along those lines?
Yeah, basically.
Basically, yeah.
What are you guys laughing about?
Our hint was Samson.
Hey! Hey, but no. Hey, but you have to understand, they can laugh at that, but there's no way that dude, they could have told me Fred Flintstone. I'd have been like, and you would have asked me, who is it from? Fred Flintstone? Like, so I had to look it up. Did they or did they not say Samson? Yes. Did I take it with a grain of salt? A whole batch of it. Because I was like, they're about to set me up and make me look like a fool. But when I Googled it and then started hearing the lyrics, that's when I had to find. So, I don't know. We can look at two things. Do I trust the fact that they were going to try to lead me down a different route? Or I was going to actually pay attention to the song because I never heard it before and actually listen to the words. Then I was like, okay, maybe they're not lying. But they were so serious with it. I for sure thought they were lying to me. That's the only reason why I had to look it up. They weren't about to clown me.
So some of the language in there, as far as like, I'm in chains, I'm tripping in darkness. Some of those things.
Is that kind of the picture that you sent me?
Yes. So that's how I demonstrated it in the music video. But we'll explain that to the guys in a second. But
Was it a failed PR?
Yeah.
No, but some of this about tripping in darkness, shaven head, sounds like weird poetic imagery, But his eyes were gouged out at the end of his life. His head was, I don't know that it was necessarily shaven. That's what I said in the song, but it was cut. And those sorts of things. But later I purposely dropped some more direct hints. So the second verse says, "The lion falls by my own hand." Samson killed a lion with his bare hands. He says, "I've killed 1,000 men." And then the bridge, he talks about a jawbone. So that's one of the most famous stories from Samson's life is he fought 1,000 Philistines with a donkey's jawbone that he picked up and turned into a weapon. So anyway, I purposely put the hints in there. I still feel like 99% of people listening to it are going to have no idea what it's about, and that's totally fine. It just sounds like, poetic imagery, but
I
don't think that high of a percentage. I think that if you're faith based and you have a belief of it, I mean, it has some pretty. Because I mean, like I said, even though I knew the name, and then my experience and understanding of the biblical tenses, I mean, is nothing compared to what you guys have. But I'm trying to learn more. I was able to, even though I had Google as my assistant, I was able to pick it up, especially with the long hair, because it actually referenced that he was determined to have a little bit more power because he had longer hair than they shaved it, which they were trying to determine the fact that they were trying to strip his power away from him. Right. So, I mean, you start following along, I'm pretty sure that a lot of people, they would understand.
The reason I say 99% won't know is because people do not pay very much attention to lyrics. So I have this song called Battle Cry that is it's like a spiritual warfare song, essentially. And I literally put out videos explaining the lyrics and everything. And 99% of comments still is like, wow, this is such a testament to the U.S. military. And I'm like, that's totally not what...
that's only because of what they're understanding of what they're listening to now and what the propaganda is being set out to. But what's interesting...
that's most of my music. But people are going to take it as what they take it as. And that's what art is, right? That's the cool thing about music is if you write it vague enough, then literally anybody can connect to it at some point in their life, some situation they've been in. The message I really wanted to get across was strength and resilience, right? So no matter what you've been through, you can resonate with that a little bit, even if it's not Samson's story, because that's pretty wild.
But am I correct that just for the brief reading, it has something to do with Palestine's and then war at Gaza? Is that actually true? The Philistines, and then the war at Gaza. Is that a real biblical reference to possibly what's happening right now, or is that just part of the song? Did you write the song because of that, or
no? Not necessarily to what's happening right now. I don't know necessarily the lineage of the Philistines or whatever, but I don't think that's Palestinians.
Yeah, because one of the things that it was referenced was that he demolished the great Philistine temple of the god Dagon at Gaza, destroying his captors and himself.
I wonder if old, like ancient world Gaza is the same as current world Gaza. I don't know. Because, like ancient Syria is not necessarily the same lines that we would draw around Syria today. So yeah, I'm not sure. That'd be interesting to look into. But part of the thing with Samson, like obviously the hair was cut and he lost his power, but it wasn't the hair that held his power. It's the fact that he took a Nazarite oath to abstain from alcohol or wine, more specifically, not to touch any dead carcass, never to cut his hair, certain things that these Nazarites would do to set themselves apart and like show their that they were devout to God. It's not the same thing, but think about like a monk and how they take vows that they want to set themselves apart. Similar idea. Samson was one of those individuals, but he did several things wrong. One, he started slaying his enemies, slaying animals, and messing with the carcasses.
What do you mean by messing with the carcasses?
So, for instance, he killed this lion. He came back however many days later, and bees had built a hive inside the body of the lion, and he pulled the honey out and ate of the honey. But in doing that, he was messing with a dead animal, which he was supposed to not touch anything dead.
What's the biblical sense to that? I'm literally asking so I can understand.
We are not held to that standard. Nobody except the people who took that oath were held to that standard. It's like me saying, hey, for the sake of my Christianity, I'm staying completely away from alcohol. The Bible doesn't say you can't drink alcohol. It says don't be a drunkard. But that doesn't necessarily mean you could never touch a drink. But somebody may decide never to touch a drink because that's the oath they're taking between them and God, right? So Samson had made this oath, and it was the Nazarite vow to stay away from certain things. But he started to touch alcohol, well, presumably because he was spending time in vineyards, so he was probably drinking wine. He started messing with pagan women. He started letting her into his life and influence him toward other gods, and she eventually cut his hair as well, and that was the final straw for God, where he said, okay, I'm taking away what I've blessed you with, and that was his strength. So then he was captured by his enemies after he lost that ability.
Wow. Like, how do you correlate that to what we can learn in modern times? I mean, both of you guys are very faith-based, and you're educating a lot of people. Like Mike, how do you correlate to how you're a man right now? Like, how does that correlate? Or if you're blessed with something from God, you don't. I mean, don't be boastful about it. I mean, I'm not understanding. Like,
Yeah. You want to use the talents and the abilities that you've been given to better life or to serve God or to glorify Him. You want to use the strengths that you have to help someone else. When you make it about yourself, we miss the whole point of what man is here for, and that's to help others reach the final destination. That'd be heaven. So that's really our mission, our goal, our design. And so we have to work closely with that. And part of that is I have a strength that you may not have, and you have a strength that I may not have, but together, we can work together, use both of our strengths to help other people. And if we do that as collectively, we do that together. If the second you think about yourself, that chain is broken. The body suffers, the group suffers because there's a weak spot, there's a weak link, and so we have to work together in that. And so I think even in that story of Samson, he showed a lot of strength and a lot of determination, but he also showed the fall of man, where he got distracted with life. He got distracted with the things that were physical as opposed to things that are spiritual. And we can sometimes do that same thing. We fall into that trap where something smells good, looks good, tastes good, feels good, and then it was like you fall away. You get distracted by the world, and you don't set your sight on things above, set your sight on things that are spiritual. And we all get distracted. We've all made a mistake. We've all failed. We've all made prideful decisions. But what we have to do is remember what our purpose is. What is our why? Why do we do the things we do? And there's a fundamental, foundational why we do what we do, and that's to glorify Him, not ourselves. And so we get distracted a lot of times. And so Samson did the same thing. He fell into the trap of sin, and you and I do the same thing.
I was about to ask for you guys to explain to me, what could he have done different? Because I'm more of a the way I kind of learn things is that I can be told one thing, but if I don't see or understand it in a real life, scenario, it's hard for me to understand. And even as I get older, I'm still learning and still growing, which is everybody is. So in his sense of the story of what you briefly said, what could he have done differently to change his path and not be captured and not be killed, not have his hair cut off, not be captured, and not be killed? What could he have done differently?
So Samson's,
in a sense.
Well, first of all, let me defend Samson a little bit. Hebrews 11 in the New Testament is what a lot of people will call the Hall of Faith, quote unquote, because it's a whole chapter talking about faith and then referencing biblical characters of old who showed that ideal faith. Samson was one of them. And that's why I wrote the song, because Samson gets a bad rap because he did make a lot of bad decisions. But at the end, he prayed to God and he said, give me strength one more time so that I can destroy these enemies, which were the Philistines. And God did. He knocked over the columns in the building. It collapsed on them. He died with them, but he did destroy the enemies in the end because he still had enough faith in God that God would see him through it. So there's lessons to be learned in a positive way from Samson too. But on the flip side, do you know what a judge was in the Old Testament? So there's a book of Judges. Have you ever heard the explanation of what a judge was?
Not probably enough to be able to describe it, no.
It's not like necessarily our word judge, although resolving like civil matters may have been part of their responsibility, but part of why that there were judges is because the Israelites continued to turn away from God. And God would rise up a judge to hopefully bring the people back to him. That was the mission given to Samson. Now, he took these vows along the way, which are great. It wasn't those weren't even necessarily commandments. I don't think he had to do that, right?
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't believe so. He chose to take that vow to show his commitment to God. But where he fell off was a few things. One, he broke his word. He literally thought he could lie to God, and he started to turn away from those vows that he made. But then ultimately, I think his main problem was the same problem David had, was the same problem Solomon had, which was women. And he was easily distracted.
Wait, we're talking about Samson?
Samson, you know the name Delilah, Samson and Delilah?
Yeah.
Delilah's the one who cut his hair. Delilah's the one who was leading him to false gods. Delilah's the one who was pulling his heart away from his mission, which was to bring the Israelites to God. So in the same way, we may not...
Samson and Delilah. Yeah.
Yeah, we may not have taken a Nazirite vow. I don't think you've taken a Nazirite vow because your hair's pretty short. We may not have been risen up as judges, as the one chosen person to lead people back to God, but we've all been given a mission, and you could break that down into several categories, but basically it's to love God with all your heart, soul, mind, strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself. Those are the 2 greatest commandments. So as soon as you start to let whatever it is for you, substances, women, men, whatever, pull you away from that stated purpose, it will take you down a dark path and can ultimately lead to your destruction.
That's why I think the story of Samson.
Men are not the only people listening to this podcast, Alex.
Yeah. I think the story of Samson's great because again, you have a guy who's been given a great talent and ability, based on a vow, but you yourself have great talents and abilities and use those to glorify God. But then he fell away. But then he made poor decisions.
I just remembered he did not choose the vow. God told his parents that he would be in. He would take the Nazirite vow, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, an angel came.
Yeah.
Yes, so an angel came to his parents, said that your son is going to be risen up. He's going to be blessed with strength. He's going to bring the people back to God, yada, yada. But he needs to take this vow. So that was put on him.
Wait, so he did take the vow, or he didn't?
He did take the
vow,
vow,
but then he
and
went
he broke
against it. He broke. Oh my! That can resonate with so much, man. I feel like I was Samson from the age of 19 to 28. Like, I felt like, just hearing the stories, it's amazing.
Well, I think that's why the story of Samson's great because you may have an ability and you may do good things, but then you may be caught up in that physical side of life,
Yes.
right? But guess what? There's a bounce back, and he bounced back.
Amen to that.
And everybody can bounce back.
Hey, I'm a testament because, I've always said, we've had a couple of podcasts, and I've never one to hold back what I've said. I definitely feel like that I've been blessed with a lot of opportunities and a lot of chances, and probably for a good 10 to 15 years of my life, it was in what people would view as like, man, you're living a great life, you're educated, you have a good job. But that's only with the first two that see. But on my personal life, I was horrible. I was a horrible person. And they caught up in the fact of women, partying. I had no commitment. I had no commitment to my relationships. That was something that I've always been open about and that men should be able to speak more about without feeling ridiculed or embarrassed. So hearing this, I'm like, man, okay, I can see where this Samson is like, because I felt so many times where I felt like, okay, look, Alex, you've been given this opportunity to do what you do, but the outside distractions, it became too much. That's why I'm asking more about it, because I'm more curious, because as I continue to grow as a person, mentally, spiritually, physically, and everything, these are kind of things that's important for me to understand, that that's what kind of lays the groundwork of how men are set up. And a lot of men don't want to admit that. A lot of men don't want to admit that they were narcissistic and cheaters and, taking advantage of being in a relationship with a woman. And when you explain this, that's how I was for 15, 20 years of my life. Until I came to the point where I started accepting more of the spirituality of understanding what a relationship is, understand what God is, and understanding the faith in it, and finally being in a relationship where I can actually be comfortable.
And that there's a better picture painted of your life that is attainable, but that you have to work for, right? Because God literally laid out the path for Samson to his parents. Like, before he was born, there was a plan for him, right? And we're told that before we were even formed, God knew us, right? When he wrote those words in a book, he meant them. There's a reason it's still here today, thousands of years later. It is still preserved so that we can know what we're here for. And Jesus said, that it basically boils down to those two things. Now, there's a lot of things we can talk about, and that doesn't make any quote-unquote smaller issue unimportant. But what it comes back to is God and your neighbor, and loving God and your neighbor. And if you lose sight of that and the heart behind developing as a person and being willing to change for the good and overcome and rely on that faith to take you through life, if you get distracted with all the shiny things, whatever that is for you, it will take you down a dark path.
So let me ask both of you guys this. For someone who's really resonated to that story personally, and I know there's a lot of guys that do, you just mentioned like the fame and the money and the power and all the other why did, and I don't know if you can answer this 100%, but why did God put him in his position where you mentioned that he was actually killed along with his enemies? What is that, for somebody who doesn't understand it as much, what is that teaching us? That if God put him in a situation where he actually was killed with his enemies, how do we learn from that? What are we learning from that?
Who put him in that position?
I mean, why did it happen to him?
Why? There's a reason I asked that particular question, though. Because if you abuse drugs for 50 years of your life and then you get clean, then you can be spiritually healed, but you will suffer with the bodily harm that you've done to yourself, right? Because those are decisions you made, situations you put yourself in. Samson screwed up, and he got himself captured by his enemies because he broke every single rule that was laid out before him, and he died there. But there was redemption at the end of the story, because for Samson, I hope, this life was not the end of his story, right? There's still a God that he serves that's way beyond and at that moment, he had accepted that he was going to die because of the decisions he made. But there was a spiritual redemption still there for him. And at the end of the day, he was still listed as a man of faith because he was willing to turn back to the power beyond himself. God humbled him by taking that away, and he realized that power did not come from him.
I just want to also say I do appreciate that you say, well, y'all are very studied and y'all know a lot or whatever. But I will tell you, that's because we have bounced back. I know James has made terrible decisions and he's bounced back. Jonathan has made terrible decisions, he's bounced back. And I have a past as well, and I've bounced back. And it's not something that we did by ourselves. It's just we were able to humble ourselves and listen to counsel, wise guys, wise people, wise friends to help us get back on our feet again. And so that really is what happened here with Samson. He recognized himself where he was, that he was wrong. He humbled himself, and he allowed God to move him and to make a better decision and to work in his life. And when we do that, that's the bounce back. And that's something that you can do or are doing, and that's something our listeners can do. But it takes an individual to stop for a second and to recognize that it's not about you. It's much more than that. And so I just know personally these three guys or these other two guys here have bounced back. We made different decisions. We made better choices over an extended amount of time.
Wait, so that's what I want to make. So Samson actually admitted to what he was doing wrong, and then that's when things started changing. I just want to get that clarified, because you mentioned that he accepted the fact that he was making mistakes, and then that's when it was basically put in God's decision, correct?
So unfortunately, I don't think we really hear all of the detail. We just have clues, one of which is he called on God at the end. So
Toward the end.
Right. Yeah. Before he died, he called on God, and he asked for that strength, and he said, so that my enemies die with me, or so that I die with my enemies. And he had accepted the consequence of his actions, but he turned to God at the end. So that's one clue. And then Hebrews 11 refers to him as a man of faith that you can look up to. So those things would lead you to believe that he had a change of heart at the end, because his whole life he was pursuing self. His whole life he was pursuing whatever, stimulated all those senses.
And I know I'm asking a lot of questions that may seem, I mean, that's the information that I want to know, but I also see it as the fact of how many guys that we have out there that might listen to us that man, we're too embarrassed to either speak about our issues, or we want to be the tough. We want to make sure that we want to act like we have everything online. But man, it's like,
Was
it's
Samson
okay.
tough?
Yeah.
He slew a bunch of dudes with a jawbone of a donkey.
I know. That's what
I
I'm
mean,
saying. It's like we have to
ruthless.
understand that. Like, it's okay to understand that we have weaknesses and we have inadequacies, but you know, man, that's pretty crazy. I'm amazed by that. That's
It's a great story.
that's
And we appreciate you, Jonathan, making that song. It really
that's awesome.
It hits home, you know, and hits hard. So it just I love the beats, and I love
Yeah, no, it
the
was great.
percussion and everything.
But why? But why did you?
Why did I make it?
Yeah.
Man, so I wrote that song Battle Cry, and it was like, to put it super simply, if you just took the story of Jesus coming to earth, fulfilling a mission to save us, right? If you just took that and you put it into military terms, that was Battle Cry. Okay, so it starts out with you're kind of speaking from the first person. I got a call, there's a mission, someone's in trouble, yada yada, get to the chorus, and he's speaking to the enemy, saying that you're not going to cross this line, he's mine, I'm taking him with me. It was just, you know, all this imagery. Well, of all of my songs that are non-cadence related, that was the best performing by far. And I look back, and honestly, it wasn't even that good, in my opinion. But I was like, okay, I think people like the and I enjoy writing the more poetic stuff, you know, taking a story, because the story's already written for me. I don't have to think that much. I just have to put it into artist's terms, right, and make it rhyme. And so then I just started thinking of stories, and then one of our buddies preached on the story of Samson, and that end part of his life just fascinated me. So I started studying it out and reading the Hebrews 11 reference to him, and anyway, it just inspired me to write that song. I was going, okay, if I had to focus on a moment in his life that was triumphant, like all the other stuff was fine. He slew a bunch of men and all that sort of stuff and all kinds of battles, but he was still living selfishly at that point, right? But the real strength and resilience came at the end when he was willing to die doing it. So,
Yeah.
so that's the part of his life I wanted to focus on.
So is that the music video that you recorded in Cali?
Yeah, so that's the music video.
When's it dropping?
I
I'm
did
ready to
not
watch it, man.
I did not reenact the story of Samson or anything.
You just murdered your drone?
I just absolutely butchered a very expensive piece of equipment. It's okay though.
Wait, did
got
it
it
ever
back.
get fixed? The drone?
Yeah, in fact, it barely sustained damage. It had like a couple blades that were kind of cracked. It still
that's some
flies,
good
and
stuff.
I've got extra blades, so I'm good for now.
Hollywood Hills are pretty dangerous, so that's
Yeah,
pretty good.
That was awful. But yeah, I went to California, so by the same day this video comes out, actually the song will come out, so the music video's out there. But it starts like I'm in a dark room. That was the video I sent to you. My head shaven. I'm currently bald.
I'm balding.
Yeah.
You both look at the end of pencil
I
tops,
have
but whatever.
no hair. But yeah, I was locked up in that room, chained up, you know, whatever. And it starts in that dilapidated room. And then I make my way to the door. The chains drop. I open the door, and I'm like a new man. I have hair, and I'm in completely different attire. I'm not covered in blood anymore, you know, whatever. I walk out, and then it's like I'm scaling this mountain. It's a climb, it's a climb, it's a climb, and then I finally collapse at the end. So that's the poetic way of telling Samson's story, is the way I chose to do it. Now, that sounds like, oh, Jonathan, you're so creative in finding ways to tell this story. AI wrote that script.
Rip.
AI literally wrote that script. I told AI, I said, can you write a music video script for me? And it said, yeah, tell me about the song. So I told it that, you know, it's about Samson, and I'm kind of like poetically telling his story, but I want the message to be strength and resilience. Sent it the lyrics, and it was like, okay, so here's what you do. It painted the whole thing. I said, that one scene sounds really expensive, and I need a lower budget option. Said, okay, let me revise that part. It sent me a new script, and I bounced some ideas off of it. It wrote the whole thing. Took me about 5 minutes.
AI, can you help me deal with Michael and Jonathan on a monthly basis? Sure can. Just hold, please. Nothing found. Nothing found. Yeah.
Please hold for Spanish translation.
Yeah.
He doesn't know it.
What?
No, yeah, it's wild.
What?
It's wild.
Wild.
That could be another show with this. What?
Talking about AI again.
So how was
Amazed.
the time change going from Cali to Houston? Was it bad?
So they're 2 hours behind us.
So yeah, they're 2 hours
So-
earlier.
So,
So
we
right
had
now
to.
it'll be 7:30 over there. That's weird.
Yeah, so we started the shoot at 6 a.m. because as the video progresses, the sun is rising behind me. So we needed an early start, which meant we had to wake up at 4, but really it was 6 a.m. our time, so it wasn't all that bad.
Yeah.
The trip itself was an absolute show. The first day, we got to the airport. We are on our way down the runway, and boom, check engine light. They turn it around. I didn't know Boeing 737s had check engine lights, but apparently they do. So they turned around. They said, we're going to get you a different plane.
Should have had a woman pilot. They would have kept on flying through it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Melissa. But dang it, you gotta let me know when
They
that
get
check
to
engine
the other
light comes
side. They're
on.
like, there's a weird light on my dash.
You all know you have been either text or a picture taken. Hey, can you check this when you get home?
No,
That's your check
the
engine
worst
light.
thing is when there's no picture taken, and then you get in the car and you're like, what's this? Oh, that's been on for a while.
See,
It was
I'm
low
not the
tire
only
pressure.
one. Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh no! So they told us they were going to get us a different plane, and that did not happen. We sat there for like 4 hours while they did on it.
Could you at least move around?
Yeah, we got off. We were
There's no way you're gonna keep me on a plane grounded for 4 hours and not get me on another plane. No.
we were just sitting at the gate. I ran into a couple followers, so I visited with them basically the whole time. They were
Taking
on the same
pictures,
plane.
signing autographs. Was it?
I did take pictures. I did not
See?
sign autographs. But
shaking
yeah,
hands, kissing babies.
we
Shaking
finally got there, and then to get a rental car. Have any of you flown into
Yes.
LAX?
Yes.
No.
And it's exactly what you said. Yep. You're.
It's horrible. So
Right.
to get to the rental cars, you have to shuttle to them.
Yep. And it's nowhere close to it.
Yeah, so I shuttle, go up this parking garage to the sketchiest car rental place I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Sat in that line for 2 hours, prepaid, by the way, and then they told me I owe like another 300 something bucks at the door for a less than a day rental. And I was like, why? And they said, because you're under 25. I said, I put my age in the system when I paid for the car. Why are you trying to charge me another 300 bucks? Anyway, so I said, enough with this, and I left.
F that.
Went across the street.
Bro.
Went across the street to a different rental car place. Got the rental car, so it was late by the time we got in. The next morning, we get there, we start. I'm flying the drone, lose connection, and crashes into a mountain. We hike for like 3 hours to find the drone. We get our outside shots, and then we get kicked off the property because we were over our time that we rented it for. So we actually did the inside shots in Houston a few days ago,
Oh wow.
and all of it's being edited together right now. But yeah, that trip,
God bless
good
you.
memories from that trip, good memories. But I would
Was,
not want
was
to
that
do
the
it
first
again.
time you traveled out to the West Coast?
Yeah.
Oh man,
first
it's
time in
different.
Cali.
Yeah.
We went and
different.
stopped and saw the Hollywood sign because we passed it. That was overrated.
Is that where your drone flew into?
No.
So did you have to go to the windy roads to get up there? Were you up there near the Hollywood sign, or you were just
Straight
able to see it?
So
Because
we
it's
basically
definitely not
passed.
straight.
We kind of
No.
passed the Hollywood sign area and went to the east like an hour. So you know Hollywood's kind of on the north side. We were about an hour east of there.
Oh, okay.
So what else? What else? Oh yeah, as we went through LA, I totally understand why that became such a hub of the US for talent and people trying to make something of themselves and all the history there. Absolutely beautiful. You're in this the architecture there is beautiful. You drive right outside the city and it's hill country. I mean, it's just a beautiful part of the world. The problem is it's armpit now. So you drive through, the amount of homeless people,
Yeah.
God bless them, there was just a lot. Trash everywhere. You can't walk anywhere without tripping over stuff. We passed like the, what do they call it? The Walk of Fame, the Hollywood
the
Walk of
the
Fame or
Hollywood
whatever.
Walk of Fame, Chinatown.
Very
and all that.
underwhelming.
Yeah.
But because it was just dirty, there was trash all around it. And yeah, it was just, I don't know.
Street performers everywhere, and just the crowd of people that are just homeless. Yeah, it's different.
But the weather, awesome. You know, the terrain, awesome. I wanted to go visit Muscle Beach, but we didn't have time.
That would have actually been a good experience. I mean, I've been out there a lot, and it's different. But it makes me, it reminds me that glad to be here in Texas.
Well, speaking of muscles, how's your weight loss going?
Hey, I want to give a shout out to one of our brothers, Daniel. He's one of the guys at the gym. He's also a very strong believer in faith, family, fitness, and finance, everything. He's a very good dude. He brought me a shirt from Buffalo, New York. So I had to wear it today, but so they're making fun of me because it's the size shirt that I wear, but it seems really long.
Your shoulders look like they're caving in.
How much weight have you lost?
And this shirt about 17 pounds, but
What?
hold on, let me get a little bigger.
Yeah, that one
No,
time.
but the shirt is pretty cool. Hey, it was the first place where they actually originated buffalo wings from. I mean, everybody loves buffalo wings. No,
That's not
you
true.
eat wings. No, it is. Look, where buffalo wings were born.
Bro.
This is like true stuff.
No.
This is like Samsung,
I
like
wonder what-
verified.
Yeah.
Buffalo, New York. Hello, Buffalo Wild Wings. Buffalo.
It comes from the animal buffalo. I couldn't get it out.
No, yeah, I'm pretty sure.
He's trying to think, is this really right?
Yeah, no. I actually let you. I was like,
You computed. You're like, there's no way this is real. This
Yeah.
is probably real.
no. I was like, I don't hunt. You hunt, and you've seen way more animals than me. I'm like,
Yeah, those little wings.
maybe there are
Buffaloes.
buffaloes and their wings are like this. Like, I'm not gonna debate it because he hunts. No, that's not. Like this.
Sure. You see?
Yeah.
Like that.
Like that. That is not possible. This is not real. So, anyways, but yeah, trying to eat a little bit more.
No, but you remember that one episode where I was like, they say the camera adds 20 pounds. How many
Yeah.
cameras did you eat?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I feel like you just,
We did
all those cameras came out the other end.
Yeah, for this I know. And I was like, I actually put it in the dryer like 3 times.
Is
It
your big
still
L
stays-
just like now?
Now it's just the L. All you see is
Ow. We just see Al.
ow. Yeah, that's all. That's all that's going to be able
So
to
why are
show.
you cutting so much weight?
Well, I'm going to do a powerlifting meet next year, so I'm cutting some weight. But I didn't think it would be as bad as the way you recognize it now. I don't want to be like that. I want to be all small. Hey,
How much more
when we
weight are you
started-
gonna
When we
lose?
started the podcast, I was literally 191. We're gonna go back and look at the review. I mean, review
That's
the
big
video.
Al.
That was big. I was 191 because I'm only 5'9", 5'8".
Bro,
Uh,
what? You're 5'4", bro.
I'm barely 5'8", and you're shorter than me.
No, for sure. So now I'm down to like 175. So I'm gonna try to compete in the 165 weight class and the 148 weight class. So I mean, and my age, it's a little bit hard to get down. So I got to wear bigger shirts. I have to just not eat.
Wearing bigger shirts make you lighter.
Lose weight?
Yeah.
In my mind, yeah.
Okay, buddy.
Girl
That's
math.
what's gonna help me.
Girl math.
Yeah, I'm trying to get there. Because what do you weigh right now, Jonathan?
184.
Oh my. Yeah, heart attack coming.
I'm 207.
High blood pressure, cholesterol. What?
I'm 207.
What? Michael, what have you been doing? What have you been eating?
What am, is that? I don't know. Is this a good thing or a bad
Wait,
thing?
are you trying to gain weight or are you trying to lean down?
No,
I
I just
remember when you
work
started
out
that-
because I like what I'm doing. Like what?
What?
I'm trying
You're
to-
like,
That's what I do.
you guys are like animals. Good for y'all. No, good. That's
You
good.
were just like at 190.
Yeah, I didn't want to be there. I could barely breathe coming up the stairs, coming up to the studio.
That means you need to
I
pick
ran
up-
across the street that one time, and I mean, even though it only took me 3 minutes, 'cause I'm still pretty
He
fast.
actually collapsed, and someone did
Yeah,
CPR
for
on him on the way back.
And he Ubered the drinks over C4s.
Yeah, that is very, very much true. But I know.
No, but how much more weight are you going to cut?
I'm gonna try to get to 170, so I can make a cut easier to 165. Because the cut to 148 is going to be pretty tough. So hey,
Golly.
I can we sign like some kind of waiver or something right now? If y'all start talking any mess to me when I go into the gym and I'm weighing 50 pounds that I don't want to hear it.
I will squish you. I'm just gonna sit
Your
on
little
you.
one, we will both be fighting each other because he'd be like, "What? You're so small."
I'm pretty sure he would be able to take you.
For sure. But
At 150. No, so can you explain for the audience?
you're the one
why...
who wanted to try to cut to 148 one
Oh,
time.
I'm going to. Yeah.
No
See?
way.
That's not
See?
that hard. I can. Let's
Wear
see.
bigger shirts.
Yeah.
148. I just.
Hey,
need
so I'm
to get
gonna
down-
show up at weigh-ins. I'm gonna have a real big shirt, and they'll be like, "You're 170." Yeah, but look at this shirt, bro. It's way big.
I just need
I'm
to cut
150.
like right below 170, which would not be very hard for me, and then the rest will just be water weight. Like that's not a big deal.
As someone who's held
I have zero appetite. I can just not eat for a couple weeks. I'll be fine.
what? Michael's been
This
over here
is
eating all
not
these hogs,
medical
but whatever-
advice.
Yeah.
Oh,
No.
no. So, can you explain for the audience though why you would cut weight? Because when most people think powerlifting, they're really thinking strongman. From what I understand,
Yeah.
they're thinking really big guys lifting really big things.
Well, aside from, the sport of powerlifting, you have a chance to lift 3 heavy lifts. But strongman, powerlifting, MMA fighters, boxers, any sport that's related to where you're in a particular weight class, you have an opportunity to cut weight. So then you have the advantage of fighting against somebody who's a lower weight class. You weigh 180 and you're in the 160 weight class, which is an example. You can cut down to 160 and might fight somebody who naturally walks around at 160. So when you are getting ready for the fight, you eat, you carb up, you drink water, you'll be back at 180. You have a 20-pound weight advantage, and that will be to your advantage. That's a given thing.
Wouldn't all the guys do that?
Not all the guys, because there's some people who are naturally at a weight class that they can't gain weight, and they really can't lose weight, so they pretty much have no choice.
They're
but
just
to
kind of
be at
stuck
that.
in that
They're
weight class. They're
stuck
kind of
that
in the
weight
middle.
class.
Yeah.
But they will always have
me.
to. Yeah, somebody for you like you exactly that has a hard time either putting on weight, losing weight. Like if you were to fight and you weigh 200 pounds, you'll be probably going against people who either weigh 198 or 220. So more than likely you'll have a guy who's 220, 230.
I'd stop eating
drop
and get
down-
underneath the 198 class.
Right, because if you would be in the 198 class, but you would probably go against guys that weigh 220, 230.
Yeah, you think
And-
Conor McGregor walks around at 150 pounds
And then
or 160
yeah,
pounds or whatever?
155 that
No.
he fights at. No, he's walking around at 180. So for that, you're going to be put in a whole different perspective. Now, why do you do it? It's challenging yourself, the opportunity to compete.
I just do it so I don't get squashed by really big people.
Yeah.
Because if like I'm 185, if I compete against somebody that walks around at 210 and cuts into the 185 weight class, I'm gonna get absolutely squashed. So basically, what you're saying is, if you bench 300 but you weigh 300 pounds, that's not impressive. The idea would be per your weight class, you want to lift more than other people in that weight class. So it wouldn't be fair to put a 168 weight class versus a 250 pound person or whatever.
But I do want to put a disclaimer because we have an upcoming meet coming up, and I just want to let people know that that's more on the higher end and how you are individually, how you want to be competitive. I've been in it so long, I want to be competitive, so I will drop class. But if you're new to any kind of strength sport, don't cut weight because it is very dangerous. It's harmful to your body. You will feel repercussions from it. Just compete in the weight class that you're at. Have fun, enjoy it, and then just work on getting stronger, getting better, and then be able to enjoy it. Because you have to realize that with social media right now, we have the top 2% of people who are strength athletes that are going to be out of this world, and then it's the rest of us. There's very few that are going to be at that upper echelon, but we see it, we view it, we think we're going to compare to that. We're not. There's in every athletic sport, there's thousands and thousands of competitors. The chances of you competing with the top 15 are going to be very, very slim. Find a sport, enjoy it. Find a hobby that you enjoy. It keeps you healthy, keeps you strong, and then just do it.
So how much of that does sleep help weight loss, weight gain on that? I mean, resting your muscles when you work out type of thing. How much does sleep impact that?
It'll affect your weight cut, it'll affect your weight gain, and it'll affect your weight loss. I mean, because that's when you don't get the proper amount of sleep, you are stressing your body. Anytime you put stress to your body, you're not going to be able to gain weight. You're not going to be able to lose weight. You're not going to be sustain weight. So with our time change right now, it's 10:50 for me right now. I'm basically, that's it. My life is over. I'm done. I can't gain weight or lose weight because it's late.
I'm going to challenge something Alex said. And I don't know if you meant it or if you're wrong.
Wrong.
But,
Wrong.
but so
Let's see.
let's take two groups of people, and this has been well documented. You pull up some studies if you want. Take two groups of people that they eat the same amount of calories, they have the exact same workout routine. Some of them, one group sleeps 4 hours and the other group sleeps 8 hours, and they're all on a weight cut. They will all lose the same amount of weight because they're burning the same amount of calories and eating the same amount of calories. The difference is that 8-hour sleepers are losing a lot of body fat, and the 4-hour sleepers are losing a lot of muscle, right?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, it's
So I need to sleep more.
the laws of thermodynamics definitely apply. So how many calories you consume and how many you burn at the end of the day is going to be how much mass leaves or gains on your body. But what mass you lose or gain depends a lot on how much you sleep, because that allows your body the proper opportunity to heal muscle, grow muscle, and lose body fat, right?
That's exactly the exact point. That's why I'm always telling you when you tell me, hey, you guys do a lot for here in the studio. Hey, we didn't go to bed until 12 or 1. I see you the next day at the gym at 6. Like, I got 5 hours of sleep. I'm like, no, you need to get your rest because it is important. I mean, that's a perfect example.
Let me ask you this then. Okay, so let's say I go to bed at midnight and I got to be at the gym at 6 or get to the gym at 6:30 or whatever. Is it better for me to, obviously I got to go to bed earlier, but in the days that I can't go to bed earlier, is it better for me to skip the gym workout if I can't fit it in before work to get the sleep?
Yes, you know what? Actually, from a lot of studies showing that if you can choose between sleep and gym, where you can fit the gym in later, you have 7 days of the week. Technically, you really only need 3 to 4 days of working out. The more days is more for mental and more for just something that's part of your routine. But if you have the opportunity to say, hey, man, I've already been to the gym 3 days this week and I'm only getting 4 hours of sleep. No, you go to sleep. Get your body the rest. It's definitely going to be way important. And that's something after the years. Aside from training for 25 years now, that's why sometimes you see me rolling up at the gym at 6. Like, I'll be at the gym every day at 5 a.m. to make sure I get my workout before I had clients coming in. Now, if I know that somebody's not coming in, I've realized how much more important the sleep and the rest is. So yeah, I'll roll in about 6. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get that extra hour of sleep so I can get at least 6 hours of sleep. And I've felt so much different. This weight cut has been much easier when I've gotten more sleep. This weight cut has been a lot easier when I've been able to give my body a little bit more rest than, trying to go hard, 7 days a week.
So how much does circadian rhythm or your sleep pattern play into it? Because I've stuck with the philosophy of if I have a late night, I'm still going to show up at the gym at the same time. Because while not getting enough sleep is a negative that day, if I do sleep in, my sleep quality after that day is going to be thrown off because my routine's thrown off. So I'd rather sacrifice that sleep that morning, maybe try to catch a nap that afternoon if I can, so that I can make sure my body stays in the same routine of going to sleep and waking up at the same time, and try to hold on to that as best I can, right?
I still genuinely believe that's more of a mental aspect because you're used to a routine and you're military. Physically, your body's always going to benefit from the more amount of sleep.
Even if it completely throws off your cycle.
It's throwing off your cycle because mentally you're already thinking about it too much. I can probably just assure you that you're not in your routine, you're off your schedule, and you as military, you're so used to certain time schedules, it really threw you off. Physically, there's no way that you can go against the fact that it benefited your body. Getting extra rest. It's just that when you go for the rest of the day and you start feeling that, because I had to adapt to that. When I didn't wake up at 4:30 like I used to and showed up at the gym at 6, it for sure was more mental of the fact that I'm not used to my routine. This is the way I like it. This is the way I want it. I put myself into that, and I use the word depressing mood. I just put myself in a more of a state where, because remember, you can you can make yourself feel sick. You can make yourself feel bad. You can make yourself have a headache. So once you fall out of that routine, you start going, oh man, my whole day is ruined because I didn't get up.
But isn't so much of your fitness, wellness, health, whatever, isn't most of it behavior to begin with? But like I would liken it to, if we're talking finances, like the credit card argument, and stay with me for a second, that it's not that the real problem with credit cards is the fact that it charges you interest, because if you just pay the full balance in full, you won't pay interest. The problem is the behavior that comes along with it is you tend to spend more money, you tend to start making excuses. So my only point is, when it comes to the gym and how important sleep is, I understand if I go to bed at midnight and I wake up at 5, I am sacrificing some aspect of my health and wellness there. But if I begin to allow myself to sleep in, my discipline will start to deteriorate.
Right.
And that eventually will become a greater negative effect than me just losing a couple hours
He's
of
basically
sleep.
telling me to go to the gym tomorrow, even though I'll be up till 1.
100%.
Sure.
But that's where I come from. What would you say that?
Well, that's because it's still psychologically, because you're still thinking of, hey, this is the time that I need to wake up. This is the time I need to be there. I don't want to sacrifice this. Because those are all your thoughts. You put that in your head, as opposed to even you going to bed and say, hey, you know what? Talk to yourself. Jonathan, you need a little extra rest. You've had a long day. You've been doing this. You've been doing that. Just get a little bit of rest. You'll feel better when you go to the gym. It's still going to go back to the psychological aspect of it. Because
Man, but I feel like if you're not proactive with your discipline, you will be undisciplined.
Because
you know what I mean?
The programming of it. But it can't be something where you psychologically continuously change or alter daily. If you go, even if you go 3 or 4 straight weeks and you're on a set schedule and then you give yourself that one day off, that's not throwing you off your whole schedule. But if you wake up one day, get up early, the next day you're like, I'm going to sleep in because I need to rest. Yeah, that's not creating a habit.
But
I don't necessarily believe in the 12 days to create a habit. I don't necessarily believe in that, but you have to create. There's a book that was written that
12 days.
if you do something for 12 days, you basically can say to
I think you reversed the digits. I think it's 21.
Is it 21 or 12? Google it real fast.
You got the digits right. No, but my only point is, every single person that I've ever met that stopped going to the gym, it started with one day.
Ask Mario.
Because if you let yourself sleep in, then what happens the next night? You've now given yourself subconsciously an out to stay up.
I agree.
Because worst case, I just missed the gym. You know what I mean? I'd rather not have that option on the table. You know what I mean?
But so that's the thing we talked about earlier, is that, but that's because we all have a similar mentality about working out and staying in shape. But because earlier I asked somebody that went into the gym, what do people that do not work out and they do not want to take care of their health, when they wake up, what do they think? Like, we think, man, we're going to miss the gym. We didn't get up. We're going to go rested. The people that do not incorporate that because they never created a habit, they never created a routine. But I also wonder, what can we do to try to encourage those people that when they get up and they do their routine, they go to work or whatever they do, and the gym's not involved, how does one adapt that attitude? Like, you weren't born working out. I wasn't born working out, but one day we decided to get involved, and now we're kind of addicted to it.
I think our natural state is laziness. I think our natural ability is to do as little as, or our natural inclination is to do as little as possible, because that's what's comfortable. So if I allow myself to do what's comfortable while throwing off a disciplined routine, then that night, one, I'm not going to be sleepy because I let myself sleep in. So now I'm going to want to stay up late because I'm not tired because I slept until 8 that morning or whatever. So that's one problem. But then even if I am tired, if there's stuff to do, it's not as important to me to go to bed on time because I know I'm not going to make myself still wake up early. You know what I mean? So it's just, I feel like it really takes months to build a good habit, and it takes one day to completely throw it off. You know what I mean?
Well, do you think people like, we talk about the first of the year, people make a New Year's resolution or whatever, and that's probably when most gym memberships start, is like the end / first of the year. Do you think people jump off out of not working out and they jump and dive headfirst into working out to where they're just not working themselves into a routine? They
Of
just
course.
dive straight in and then they get burned out really quick because they've just went on a sprint when they should have been training for a
sure.
marathon type of thing.
Oh yeah, that's the old saying that we always have for us coaches and gym owners, is that it's a marathon, not a sprint. And for beginning of New Year, since you mentioned, I mean, that's the time of year that I do not enjoy, because I do not enjoy the people who contact me. New Year's resolution, this time I don't want to hear it, because statistically, if you're not involved in committing to a change, you're not going to do it in the beginning of the new year. It ain't going to make no difference. And for sure, we already know the type of gym I run. I'm not taking people in. What y'all laughing at? Because I said that?
What was that word?
Statistically? Hey, what is the word earlier? What was the word earlier you were trying to tell me?
Hulk.
Hulk. I have to put my mouth like
We said, how do you spell caulk? And he's like,
Caulk.
CHALK.
What, you have to use it in the sense of the fact that I was trying to caulk a tub. Like I was trying to.
It sounded like German.
Oh, I'm about to do a sign, but I ain't gonna do it. But anyways, no. So New Year's resolution doesn't mean a whole lot to me, because I think that's just an excuse for it. So people that come through, and I don't deal with it. I don't like it.
Well, I don't know. So I've heard people say a lot, and I agree with it. The best workout routine is the one that you'll stick to. So if you just love running, then run. Do it. You're not going to look like a bodybuilder, but if that's what you like to do, do that. If you like to lift weights, do that. If you like to do body weight exercises, do that.
What if you don't like to work out?
Because if you make yourself do
something.
something that you hate, then you're just not going to stick to it. That's the behavior side of this, right? On the flip side, you are capable of making yourself do things that you hate. You are. That's called discipline. So
Eating broccoli.
I'm always going back and forth with
I hate
that.
broccoli.
So for me, I know that I could maintain my strength and all of those sorts of things with 2-3 days a week of working out. That's possible. I just go to failure on each exercise 2-3 days a week. I'd be fine. But I find it much easier to just not go that hard and work out 6-7 days a week, and
Yeah,
it's just a
that's very
part of my routine. I'm never absolutely obliterating my muscles, or I very rarely do that. I very rarely do the, go to failure and then have someone pick it up for you with a cheat rep and work the negative slowly. I don't do that stuff as much anymore, because I'd rather work out every single day and just enjoy doing it. So there's several different trains of thought, but if you can commit to 2 days a week or 1 day a week in the gym, then commit to the 1 day a week.
Better than zero.
It'll grow.
Find what you can do, what you will enjoy doing, what will give you benefits. Find the balance between all of those sorts of things, and just do that, and just don't waver.
And I think there's an element here, like I got into working out because I had someone there with me. Now, we all had Alex, but I'm talking about a buddy that was, you knew, or you were going to text in the morning or
Your cousin?
whatever, and you would say, hey, I'm up, let's go, whatever. And you kind of have this accountability, because Jonathan and I used to work out together, and it was the daily routine. That's what we did. If I didn't get a text, I knew he was still sleeping. And vice versa, and it does make a difference when you have somebody who is expecting you to be there. You tend to not let them down as much, but it just helps that
Well,
accountability.
I will say, even on the days when literally nobody else shows up, like today, I still know that Alex is going to say something the next day if I'm not there,
Yeah.
And that rarely happens unless it's like I'm in California or whatever. But it rarely happens because I want to see people. Like, I've now built relationships with people. When I was working out completely by myself, it was much more of a grind to keep that absolute discipline and go every single day. And there were periods of time that I fell off and I had to get myself back in it. I'd say the longest stint was the first year of my marriage. I probably was in the gym like maybe once a month, you know.
Oh, wow.
And it's because my wife just enjoyed me being home. She was really, really mad that when we first got married, I was never home because I was working or I was at the gym. And I ended up just stopping for like an entire year, and then I got back into it. But today, I know that there's several people that are expecting me to be there, so that helps. At first, man, if I was doing bench press, Michael was doing bench press, and if I was doing lat pull downs, so was Michael, and vice versa, you know. And that definitely helps him. Eventually, he left the nest, and now he's teaching other people to work out, and that's fine.
Oh, yeah, CB's great. But, I mean, even for me to say that
We lost a soldier, though. Mario hasn't been in a while.
he's coming back.
Is he?
But, yeah. But I love the fact that even
He
for me.
texted today, said, I'm not going to be there today. I'm like, you haven't been here in 4 weeks.
This is what he said.
But I think the accountability is
he said,
good.
won't be there in the morning. Trying to get back to it just isn't working out. And I said, new number, who dis?
But see, that accountability is, I mean, even for me that I run the gym, I can work out anytime I want, but I feel obligated to go in the morning because if I don't see you guys, I'm gonna feel bad. So even on the days where I know that I could that's what I'm giving you a little bit of clout with that because I've been doing this for 20 years and I've been working at a gym for 15 years and I've never had a group of guys that I felt like, man, if I don't get up, they're gonna talk mess to me the next day. And we're in the kind of environment that I'm all good for a little trash talking. I mean, that one morning where I showed up super late, I mean, you were like, yo, what's up? And I'm like, I felt bad. I'm like, okay, I felt like I let my teammate down. So that's what you need to do is you find the accountability. You see the same people. Yeah, I was really late.
Well, and that's what's cool is like he said, well, we all had Alex. At first, we didn't know Alex. He was just the owner of the gym, right? But those relationships built over time. And if the people listening, if you're interested in working out and you can find a small local gym, man, it is so much better because there is a personal relationship that develops with the person next to you versus if it's a big box gym, it's a different person next to you every single day. Yeah, you're by yourself. You self-discipline exists. You can do it, but statistically, you will fall off if you're the only person holding you accountable.
Statistically. Caulking. Is that what I'm talking about?
Yes, caulking.
Yeah,
there you
you said
go.
it perfect
That was perfect.
Yeah.
Caulking.
I wonder. Is there a Spanish word for that, like sealing or caulking?
Yeah, there actually was a Spanish word because the guy who I asked at Home Depot, he said something. I was like, what? And then he showed me. I was like, oh no, caulking.
I'm pretty sure last time or one of the shows you quoted somebody in Spanish, and it was like we did a Google Translate, and it was completely wrong.
Well, no, the prefiero morir de pie que vivir en el río. I prefer to die standing than to live on my knees. I quoted that.
I prefer, what is it?
Prefiero morir de pie. I'd rather die standing than vivir en el río.
Can you type that into Google real quick?
I can't spell that.
So yeah, but it's like then to die on the river is how it translated.
Yeah, we did it.
Well, hey, and that can happen. Well, honestly, that's happened quite a bit.
Anyways, it's 21 days to make a habit, 90 days to make a permanent lifestyle change.
I'm so glad you're the one who made the joke.
Yeah.
Because we won't get canceled.
Bro, it wasn't that funny.
He looks like his face is falling off. He's lost so much weight.